My name is Jonathan Gilliam.
And this is The Experts.
This is Jonathan Gilliam, and this is The Experts on Facebook Live, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Let me adjust this level here. I don't know if it's as loud to you as it is to me, but look, I went casual today. Normally I'm trying to dress up a little bit more than this, but it's like every day's like a Friday now because I'm writing a book, and for those of you that have never written book, it is like being lazy with a purpose. So every day is like Friday, but it seems like I'm more rushed than I've ever been in my life. So as it turns out, I'm also going to be hosting all week, as I said yesterday, on SiriusXM Patriot Channel 125. So I'm getting my Twitter up right now. So we have sound, we got good stories to cover, and I got a little bit extra time tonight, so this ought to be a pretty good show. Let's get it going. Man, is it just me? I mean, honestly, you guys tell me. You can either tell me in the chat there. Let me pull up YouTube's chat, by the way, just in case we got people over there. And is it just me? There's nobody on the chat. We've got 6 viewers watching. Is it just me, or is everything run slow now? It's like my iPhone is crippled. The iPad runs slow. When I try to do something online, it seems like it takes forever. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this all seemed to take place as soon as it got to, I think, just recently, they changed something to do with the internet. I don't keep up with a whole lot of that stuff, but I don't know. It's interesting. I got my reverb set where it sounds like I'm in a room. Of course, I'm in a Manhattan room, so it's small. All right, there you go. So we got a lot to talk. So everybody else is saying that their stuff is going slow as well. I got to plug my iPhone in. Speaking of iPhones, hold on one second here. You guys get to see all the I don't have people to do this stuff for me. There it goes. I've just got a lot of stuff going on. So today in the news, incredible news day. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be covering on Sirius when I get there here in a little bit. I would like to cover some of these shows. Let me see if that's charging my phone. That's the other thing you can't tell. iPhone put in, look, how many people have to do this with their iPhone cords? Because these are the crappiest made products of all time. They came up with this new lightning thing, whatever it's called, and it's like it just falls apart. I don't know where are they getting this stuff made at? China? Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. It's made in China. Exactly. It never seems to work. It's always like there's something jacked up with the way it charges. I don't know. Let's see here. See, I'm suffering. I go through the same thing you guys go through. There it goes. Of course, I had to flip it around. The other thing that bothers me, since I'm on this philosophical kick, what is it about USB ports? When you go to plug one in, it's always backwards. I guarantee, how you flip a coin and it's supposed to be 50-50. It's on 50% of the time. Look, why do you people text me when the show starts? I get texts and phone calls. Oh, that's Eric. So the USB port, no matter you flip a coin, and 50% of the time it's supposed to land on heads, 50% of the time it lands on tails. But that's not the case with the USB port. Whenever you go to plug in a USB port, it's always turned the wrong way. Always. And hold on a second here. So I don't know. There's certain things that are always like that. They always work like that. Let me go back to Twitter here. And I'm all over the place with this. It's just aggravating. It's aggravating, and life isn't fair. Gee, what do I sound like? I sound like a little snowflake right there, don't I? That exactly right. Terry Reinhardt says that toilet paper goes over, not under. That's a correct thing as well. There's all these tragic things that happen in this world that just would shake a snowflake to actually crumble. And here's another thing. Speaking of that, and we're going to go into greater detail about this. I'm finding that more and more people somebody says no on the toilet paper, that it's supposed to go under, not over. See, I think it goes over. I don't get that under thing. You can't find it. It goes over. It hangs down. Anyway, we're not going to get into that discussion. But what I'm finding very interesting is that it just seems like social justice warriors, and I'm not talking about conservatives that are angry. I'm talking about overall the amount. I'll tell you what, this toilet paper thing keeps coming up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a thing on Twitter here in just a little bit. I don't know if we got these on Facebook, but I know that you can do it on Twitter where you vote on a thing. I'm going to figure out how to do that. And before I start the show tonight on Sirius, I'm going to I'm going to put that out there and see if the toilet paper should go over or under. Would that make everybody happy? It can't even cover what I'm going to talk about because they're so disturbed about this toilet paper thing. I didn't know it was that big of a deal. Okay, so what I'm starting to realize is that social justice warriors, these snowflakes, these liberals that are out there, have got a perception of, and look, you know what? It's not fair for me to put everybody into one category like that. There are social justice warriors. These, although I don't put these people like the anarchist groups like Antifa or BAMN, I don't put them in the same category as somebody who's just liberal. And I think there's a lot of people out there that we would categorize as snowflakes that just haven't had a chance to grow up and get out of mommy and daddy's lap yet, and so they're still stuck in that gimme mindset. So I think it's not fair for me to combine all liberals into one category. Okay, and I'm trying to do that better because I know that we've probably pushed some people away because of that. So I think when I talk about the media and the mainstream media and groups like online papers like Buzzfeed or online publications like Buzzfeed that come on and say that, and I got the story right here, that BuzzLead says they report that the government, there's a secret government report that says Chelsea Manning leaks cause no harm. Now, first of all, I'm getting sick and tired of the whole Chelsea Manning, and everybody's trying to do that because it's politically correct or whatever. These people in the military getting they're joining up in the military just so they can get a gender reassignment. It's called sex change surgery. And basically what's happening is they're going to boot camp. That's why there's supposedly 11,000 people that are transgender in the military. That's because they go to boot camp knowing that the military is going to pay for that. They then, after the boot camp, they go to their A school, they raise their hand, they say, I'm transgender, and the military pays for their transgender operation, and then they will give them a medical discharge, not a dishonorable discharge, and they just give them a medical discharge. So, yeah, I don't know why the taxpayers are paying that stuff. It's ridiculous. But not to get off target of what I was going to talk about here, far left liberals, social justice warriors, anarchists, all these people believe that they know what's in a secret government report. You can't even trust what's in secret government reports anymore because there's so many of these people that have deviant objectives that work inside the government. Why do you think the people go into the government like Snowden or Reality Winner or this guy, Chelsea Manning, Bradley Manning, whatever you want to call him? They go in and they have an agenda because the rest of the people that serve in the military, you know why they go in the military by and large? Because they want to serve. And they want to defend freedom, and they want to defend our way of life, and they want to, in a lot of cases, go out and fight for freedom in other countries where our allies are being destroyed. So that's why people sign up in the military. That, or they don't have direction in life, and they're looking for direction. They go into the military. They find direction. Maybe they come from impoverished families and they don't have a way to go to college, so they join the military and they get their college paid for. I mean, these are good, honorable, upstanding reasons why people go into the military. By and large, people do not go. Yeah, shooting and blowing stuff is fun too. But by and large, people do not go into the military because they want a sex change or because they have an agenda where they want to go in and discover something well, they're not discovering something. I think typically what happens, and this is where I think prosecutors are missing it, is that people like Bradley Manning, Snowden, and Reality Winner, they go into the military looking for a specific thing they already know about to get evidence of that and to leak it. These people work in coordination with newspapers and media, mainstream media personalities, and they do this and they go into the military. I know you're saying, man, they go through boot camp and all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of the times they believe they're doing something that has a purpose, and the reality is it's called treason, or it's called espionage. And so they make deals with these media personalities who hide under the guise of the First Amendment. Somehow they have stretched the First Amendment, because this is what the left loves to do. They either like to chop the rights that we have granted to us by God through the Constitution. They either like to chop those and make them less for most people, or they stretch them out and make them to where they fit what they do. So you have people going in intentionally into the military to get a sex change operation, or intentionally to go after a specific secret so they can air it to the world. That is nefarious in nature and is a criminal act. I think both of those things are criminal acts. I think going into the military because you want to get a sex change paid for is fraud. You're signing on the dotted line to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. How is it not fraud when you say, yes, I'm going to do that, all full well knowing that you do not intend to support and defend the Constitution? In fact, what you intend to do is get out as quickly as possible after you have your operation paid for. That's called fraud. And lying to the government, and whatever else we want to come up with. I mean, it's fraud. So when I look at stuff like this thing that Buzzfeed wrote, the secret government document, how did they get this secret government document, first of all? Who wrote it? Did they write it knowing that it was going to be given to the press so that they could make it, this Bradley Chelsea Manning look like some kind of a hero or less of a criminal? I mean, the fact is, folks, these people forget when they get their sentence pardoned or commuted, it doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, they're innocent. It means that for some strange reason, a criminal named Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or even George Bush, I don't agree with a lot of the people that they commute their sentence. In the case of Barack Obama, he commuted 4 cartel members that were serving life sentences. What on earth? What good did it do? To let those people go? Nobody's even looked into that. Now they're also saying an independent group out of Georgetown University, a group of hold on a second, I'm thinking of it. Psychology students. They weren't just psychology; they were anthropology. and psychology students, I think is what it was. Anyway, they did a study, and they've determined they think that Seth Rich, it was a hit job, that it wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a botched robbery. It was actually a targeted hit job. And I find that very interesting because when you look at the fact that Barack Obama commuted the sentences and let these 4 cartel members go free, I don't know, maybe it's a stretch, but there could be some kind of collusion there. Hey, you scratch my back, or I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I let these 4 guys out, you take this individual out for us. I don't know. Could have happened. Does anybody look at that stuff? Probably not. Do they look at the fact that people going into the military to get a gender reassignment surgery, full well knowing that they're lying and they're not going to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Is that not fraud? I believe it is. I do. I believe it is. So, and I also think there's more stuff to look at the Seth Rich issue. I think there's more stuff to look at with the Hillary Clinton issue, which is what we're going to talk about in the A block here. Basically, what I'm getting at with all this is that people on the left need to wake up. Look, maybe you are just liberal and you don't subscribe to the Democratic Party. Okay, that's fine. But you need to realize that Bradley Manning leaking thousands, if not millions, of documents does cause problems in the government, because what it does is, let's say nobody specifically died out of that, then quite possibly somebody else is going to come along, another enemy, another person that wants to divulge this information, and what they're going to do is they now know that they can do this stuff and get away with it. It's like an invitation for them. It is a problem. Whether somebody died or not, we don't know the amount of stuff that has been released and if it's going to have ramifications down the way. Secret government individuals who write secret government documents can't predict the future, so they don't know what is going to actually come out of this. The fact that Bradley/Chelsea Manning is walking around the same city that I live in, protected by the NYPD, is an outrage to me. When this person went in full well knowing that they were going to commit, I believe, a treasonous act against the United States government, and then they get out and they get protected in a city that's ran by a communist, Bill de Blasio, you've got to be kidding me. This is such an insult and a slap in the face of the American people. I mean, we've gone to war over less stuff than this. Our country's been infiltrated. How did we get to a point where communists can just flourish in this country and people can just steal information and give it to whoever, and then people in the government just assume, and in the media, that, hey, it's just no big deal? How did our constitutional rights get to a point where they can just be stretched and pushed and subdued by people that hate this country and hate the Constitution, but then they'll use it whenever they feel necessary, and they'll stretch it and make it into something that it's not? How did we get to this? Well, I'll give you another example. Let's go to the A block, and I'll give you an example of another place where we're completely, absolutely, mind-blowingly backwards in the way we do stuff. Let's go to the A block. So I'm reading some of your comments here real quick. Debbie says Manning being pardoned is a complete outrage. I go with what Debbie says there. Also, Debbie, being marched around in the same city that we live in is slapping everybody's face. Just go ahead. Be free, Manning. Be free. Don't worry about what you did. In fact, we'll just give you protection, because not only did you make a mockery of service, you spit in the face of America and all those who go out and put their lives on the line for the right reasons, and then we're going to give you protection in this city. What is going on? Well, let's look at this other story here. Let me pull it up here. So it appears, and this is coming off of foxnews.com. It's I guess they have some stuff that's still good on there. So the State Department probes Clinton handling of government emails could could pull her security clearance. Okay. Let me read this headline again, and I want everybody to pause for a second and work with me when I read through this, okay? The State Department probes Clinton handling of government emails. Okay. Wouldn't we expect that to happen, considering that she had a server in her house? They destroyed BlackBerries. There's emails from her first 3 months in office that aren't even accounted for. That, I mean, we could go all the way back. We had Buzz, I forgot what Buzz's last name is on this show before, who held the nuclear football, which is a card with all these codes on it. Bill Clinton supposedly lost that one day, and they couldn't find it. This kind of nonsensical, lackadaisical, and I don't think lackadaisical. I think it's they full well know what they're doing when they do these things. This stuff's been going on for years and years with the Clintons. But, this title reads, State Department probes Clinton handling of government emails. Could pull her security clearance. I think the word there is could. Could? First of all, how does Hillary Clinton and her staff, it's not just Hillary Clinton, and her staff from the State Department, how do they still have security clearances, top secret security clearances? How could that be? I'm being honest. How is it they even still have these clearances? First off, let's say Hillary Clinton did nothing wrong. That's a big stretch, but let's say that Hillary Clinton did nothing wrong in her time as Secretary of State. Okay, it's a make-believe world, folks. Let's just make believe for a second. Why do they have their security clearances when they leave? I served, okay, I know I go over this all the time, 15 years, SEALs, all this stuff, Air Marshals, FBI. Two things happened the day I left the FBI. After all this stuff that I had done, proven all these times that I could carry a weapon and be trusted with top secret clearance information. What happened the day that I left the FBI? Debbie knows. They took my gun away, and they took my clearance away. I wasn't able to carry a gun anymore legally in New York City, and I'm not able to have a security clearance in the United States government. You know, I spent years in training, going through SEALs, bleeding, proving, just like every other SEAL out there, proving that I could be trained, trusted, and I wouldn't quit. The FBI Academy, probably one of the most elite academies you can ever go through. Right? We are given not carte blanche, but we are given as an FBI agent amazing trust. The day you leave, it's gone. How is it that political appointees who have never been through anything where they have to prove that they can be trusted, trained, and won't quit? It's not just a military. It's that I've been trained and shown that I can be trained, right? That I can be shown this is classified information. This has to be protected. And I can go, okay, and they can trust me that I will never give that information away. I can be trained and trusted, and I will prove that through the hardest military training in the world, I will not quit. I'm going to sustain my fight and my support and defense of the Constitution. Hillary Clinton never went through anything like that. She went to college, was mentored by a communist, Saul Alinsky, and then went on the government dole with her husband, Bill Clinton. And from the time she basically graduated law school until just recently, they never had to want for anything. The government was taking care of the entire time. One of those two were always in some kind of office given all this clearance and all this trust when they never did anything to show that they could be trained and understand what they're actually doing. They never showed that. In fact, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton never really even proved that they are attorneys before they stopped, in some cases, weren't allowed to be practicing law. So they never trained. They never showed that they could be trusted. There was a scandal a second with those two, and then they never proved anything about that they wouldn't quit. The only thing they proved that they would not quit is themselves. But I am shocked at the fact that these people not only get the security clearance. I know they need security clearances to run the agencies in which they work. State Department, whoever leads that's going to have a clearance. But I think like the FBI, the DEA, the NSA, the CIA, State Department's a little bit different of an object, but I would like to see whoever's in charge of the CIA and the State Department, that they both come from the same area. I'd like to see people running the State Department that actually have a history, either in the CIA or a long-standing time as a diplomat, so that we can value what they say and what they do with the information they're given. I also think that political appointees, if they're given top secret clearance, it should be SCI, and that's secret compartmentalized information, and they should be kept to that to the T. If you don't need to know this, you don't find out. And then the other thing that we need to do is reverse this whole thing where a new guy comes in, like this Navy guy, although I think this is awfully suspicious, but he was in for a couple of years and took 5 pictures of a submarine. Okay, either this person's the biggest idiot in the world, or he had some kind of nefarious intentions, or I don't know. But the fact is the guy went to jail. Hillary Clinton and people at the very top of these echelons of political appointeeness, they don't suffer at all, and they're treated with kid gloves. And I think it goes back to the same thing I've been saying for a long time, that if you screw up, you're promoted in the federal government, because now what happens is it's just like in the mafia. Hey, listen, you did bad. Okay, you screwed up. But we're going to take care of you because we're like a family, kid. And so they promote them, and then what do? Hey, we need you to look the other way, or we need you to drive this car over here, or put this server, or we need you to leak this information. The powers that be. And so somebody like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, those people finagle their way up into leadership positions, or they're put there by the Democratic Party, who is really, I think, a front for the Communist Party of the United States. And they basically get those people into positions of power, and then they utilize their security clearances and all these things to promote people, get people into the government, and that's why how you have this shadow government. I'm not reading what everybody says. So it seems like the higher you go, the less you get in trouble, and the more you get promoted, and the more you get into positions where you can screw this country. And if you have not proven that you can be trained, trusted, and won't quit, how can you be given top secret clearances? Look, if you want a good example, I was talking about this last night on the radio. If you want a good example of how politics will screw something up, in 1947, the Secretary of Defense was created, and from that point forward, we have not fought a successful war. We haven't. And the way that the military and the DOD screw stuff up has affected the way law enforcement does things, because now we have, the director of the FBI that's never been in the FBI. We have the DEA that is completely jacked up. We have the NSA the NSA, okay, the agency that is tasked with spying electronically on the world, basically. We have the NSA that is consistently hacked by not even by full-time employees, by contractors. How is that possible? This is like something out of some kind of weird movie where people are just like, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. It's crazy. So when I saw this headline, yes, it is like the Twilight Zone. Somebody just said it's like the Twilight Zone. Debbie says, the Bureau says, well, I'll say it better. Screw up, move up. That's exactly what happens. So, and my buddy Will Hutton, my brother, Will Hutton. Will, sorry I haven't gotten back to you. I've been extremely busy, but I've gotten your emails and stuff. I will get back to you. Now, let's go to, let me see here. What's funny is I don't even have to read this story. Just look at the headline, and I'm asking myself, how is this possible? I know you guys are doing the same thing. All right, let's go to I'm not going to change the subject completely, but I am going to go to talk about the educational sector a little bit. Sorry, I'm looking over here more. I kind of spread stuff out with this desk that I have, so I'm having to look around a little bit more. Again, I'm the producer. Yeah, we don't need to hear that. I hate when they autoplay this stuff. So I'm the producer. I'm the host. You're my brain room. I do the lighting. I do the sound. I'm the sound guy. I'm Dion from Fox News. I'm the sound guy. I handle it all, man. It's a one-man show, except for Rico. Rico's like my grumpy producer that walks around and just looks at me like, you're screwing this whole thing up, man. Let's go to the B block. Yeah, you know what? Who is it just said that right there? House of Wolf says, you need a cute assistant to read your comments. In all seriousness, I can guarantee you, if I had the screen cut in half and had a cute assistant that would read, or she was up on a block up here somewhere, the ratings of this show would go sky high. I guarantee it. That's because human beings are sick individuals. We like shiny things and pretty things, and we will compromise our lives to pick up something shiny or meet somebody or watch somebody it's pretty. That's the way we are. Sad state of affairs. We're not that far from animals. The way we live in this world is very similar to Vegas. You know, you go to Vegas and you look at this wall and you say, man, that's amazing. That whole thing is marble. And you go like this to hit it, and your hand goes right through it because it's just like drywall that's been very carefully painted. That's the world that we live in, folks. We think because we live in New York City or because you live in the South and you in Texas and you got all this land and you got guns, everybody thinks, oh, man, you know, I live in the greatest city in the world, or in Texas, they're like, they won't ever take my guns. Man, it's that fragile. It is that fragile. It's just like that, what you think is marble up there in Vegas. It is. And this is a good example of it. So this headline, a Yale dean who called people white trash on Yelp is leaving her post as whatever she, at Pearson College dean. So basically what she said was, let me get down here to it. She writes in Yelp. That's like a food review thing. She writes, this establishment is definitely not authentic by any stretch of any imagination and perfect for those low-class folks who believe that this is a meal, this is a real night out. She wrote one even worse than that. She said, this restaurant is perfect for anyone who was white trash. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's right. I'm white trash. I grew up in a trailer, and I grew up extremely poor. We weren't in a trailer for a while. We were just in a shack. We actually moved up when we moved into a trailer. I don't see anything wrong with being white trash. See, I'm not a snowflake. I don't get offended by this stuff. Somebody calls me a hillbilly or a redneck. First of all, I know that they don't know the difference between the two things. And when they call me white trash, let me tell you something, folks. I served with a lot of people in going through SEAL training that came from rich backgrounds and came from athletic families. And I know people who grew up with nothing. And you could consider them white trash. I mean, I don't know. White trash is really kind of a term of people who have crap all over their yard and don't take care of their kids, and their kids have rotten teeth and stuff. That was never us. But we were extremely poor. I mean, I'm sure people could go by and say, man, what kind of white trash lives in that place? Yeah, whatever. Doesn't bother me, because you know what? I look at that as a sign of I'm not going to be held down by economic situations. Or I served in what I was going to say when I was going through SEAL training. Man, somebody shows up and they look white trash. I think the SEALs really need to look at this. I mean, back in the day, back when the SEALs weren't known about, there were, those are the people that would do the dirty jobs. Call them whatever you want, But anyway, she was meaning in a derogatory way, so I'll take offense to it. But it's interesting when these social justice warriors from the left get caught up in their own game, and then because they literally think, folks, they don't have a concept of reality when they think that we have to live by a certain set of rules, but they don't. It's the same thing as with the politicians who think and just assume that they can say and do anything like the Clinton. Well, by and large, it's kind of true, I guess, that they can meet on the tarmac with the Secretary of State's husband, and she was under investigation. Bill Clinton meets with the Attorney General on the tarmac, and they have a private conversation when they're the Clintons are being looked at by the Justice Department. I mean, they can put a server in their house and run their emails out of that, or destroy government equipment. Or you have like Comey, who just no problem telling anybody that he's leaked information. These people, a lot of the ways, are very similar to this female Asian person who was a dean at Yale, and she, they think that they're not going to get in trouble by any of this stuff. And man, I sure hope all these people get a nice taste of reality soon. So hold on one second. I'm getting calls. I don't know if people know that I'm doing my show right now, but hold on one second here. My neighbor says she's watching my show right now, and I look very sexy. She probably didn't think I was going to read that either, and she gave me a thumbs up. Well, thank you, Mary. See, that's what I'm talking about. That is neighborly love. That's how I know my neighbors. That didn't sound good at all. Hold on one second here. I got to let this guy know. I am live on my show right now. And it says, you know what it came out with? It says, I live on my show right now. Okay. Hold on a second here. Oh, man. So, I got to go do this other show here in just a second. I'm getting all my monologue stuff out here because it's a more of a breaking news show now on Sirius, so it's a little bit different than it was before. Although I got a little opinionated last night on some stuff. Let's see here. I don't know if my neighbor's here. I don't know if Mary's here. She travels a bit. So let's see. One other thing I wanted to touch on before I go. What's really weird, folks, is I do the show. I haven't had an update about what's going on in Brussels. Jason, not Jason, but Craig. I'm not ready to discuss that on the show yet, so we got to stand by for that. Let's see here. So Brussels train station, explosion being treated as terror attack, suspect dead, officials say. So I was having a discussion with a friend of mine today. I don't think she's watching this. She's from Denmark, and basically she, they're a socialist country. We've had a lot of discussions, she and I, great discussions about the reality of socialism in Denmark and how it's a little bit different. I mean, Denmark's only got 8 million people, and that's the same size as New York City, and that's a whole country. So it's a little bit easier to say socialized medicine or different things would work there. But here's where I think people need to start looking at socialism, and that's what I try to convey to my friend, is that socialized medicine, welfare, these types of programs, they are programs for society. But they should not be confused with a socialized government. You see, here's where people get it wrong, because people in Denmark are terrified right now, as well as people in Paris, in London, in Germany, in Italy. People are terrified because of the Islamic onslaught that they have coming out of Syria. It's not just Syrians. That's one thing we were talking about yesterday on the show, is these immigrants are not, not just Syrians. These are people that have gone to Syria, and then they use that to basically immigrate to the westernized world, whether they have nefarious intentions or not. Look, if I live in the Middle East, I'd be trying to get out as well. So I tried to explain to her, and I want you to understand that a socialized government is really just one step away from a communist government. And ultimately, a communist government sees itself, or it portrays itself, as one step away from no government, which will never happen. By and large, people that go toward service in government, especially those over long periods of time. Now, not everybody in government, but those that are a part of these ruling elites are by and large people who have agendas, and a lot of times they're psychopathic, narcissistic. And when you have a socialized government, that means you have a centralized government, and they are taking more from the people and controlling what happens in the country more than a republic, for instance, like we have, which is a republic of states, where the states are supposed to be many countries. And so you could have one country that has a little bit more of a socialized type government, where maybe the government takes more taxes, but actually puts, they have more socialized health care, they have more different programs and a little bit more control. And then the next state doesn't. And in a republic, that should work. But unfortunately, what happens in countries like ours, one state gets a centralized government hold on that state, and then they work in collusion with cities where they have communist or socialist mayors, and then they try to get people into the White House, which they have been successful at, or in Congress, to further their socialistic, communistic agenda. When Bernie Sanders is running for president and portraying himself as a socialist, he's really a communist. When Hillary Clinton says that she is a democratic socialist, I think is how she put it, she's really a communist. Stop differentiating between the two things and just realize that a more powerful centralized government is what these people are going after. And in the end, what happens is that, yes, and you're right, whoever said that open borders and handouts have ruined the republic. What happens, though, is what happened in Denmark, where these people in a centralized government take charge, and inevitably, if they're idiots, which some reason they typically are, they will invite, in this instance, millions of Muslims from a third world nation into their country so that they can change the voting structure and maintain power. They're not concerned, and they're not foreseeing the reality of what Muslims that come in the country are going to do. They seem to think that they're going to assimilate to the way that we live, and that's just not the case. They'll come over, they don't assimilate, and then what happens is they end up causing chaos wherever they go, because they're not assimilating, and they're probably not even going to vote. So I don't even know what these far left politicians are thinking when they do this. But that is the case. If you're young and you're liberal, or even if you're old and liberal, and you think that a socialized government is the best way to do these things, you're kidding yourself. And if you're conservative and you think that there's no social program that should exist, you're also kidding yourself. Look, I believe in states' rights, and I believe in a small centralized government and strong states government, but I also believe in strong and well-maintained federal infrastructure all over the country, better roads, better bridges. I do believe that there's an answer out there to health care. And I think it has less to do with insurance and more to do with service. I think that doctors should pledge an oath, and nurses and people in the healthcare industry should pledge an oath to take care of each other. And if somebody can't afford it, then they should be taken care of for free by the doctors in the hospitals. I think they should pledge an oath. But if somebody has found that they're using that as an advantage to milk the system, then they should be brought up on fraud charges. You know, I don't think that the answer to health care is going to be a government program. I think it's going to be we the people taking care of each other. I don't like the fact that health care became yeah, you see, as somebody said, tough to do that with medical education being so expensive. That's where the government can make a difference. You know, if doctors pledge to do this, give them a tax break, or that's where the government could help pay for some education. You know, rather than saying everybody's going to get free education, that's nonsense. I do believe that colleges are too expensive. I think Ivy League colleges are looked at as being too awesome in that they produce these incredible leaders when they don't. And I think, and evidently there's somebody on here that's a doctor. I'm looking, Honey Badger, that you all pledge to do no harm. I understand that, but I think that people in the medical industry, if they pledge to do service for free for people who don't have insurance or people who are poor or elderly, that they should have part of their education paid for by the government, and they should be given a tax break whenever they, over the long haul, whenever they take care of people like that. You know, there's lots of ways to help people who are going to help people. But what the government doesn't want to do is give up even a penny of the taxpayers' money, because by and large, they use that money to facilitate things that are going to give their parties more power. So, you know, and this isn't something I'm going to be able to fix like right now sitting here, but the fact is this country got away from, this citizenry got away from helping each other. I remember after 9/11, I was in Norfolk, Virginia, and we went out to go eat, and I remember these, drunk idiots getting in a fight, and I remember like they were fighting right next to me. I looked at these guys, and I was like, come on, you're in America right now. You're Americans. What are you fighting each other for? You know, and I remember some of them looking at me like, this guy's crazy. So, but I was shocked because we had just been attacked, and yet these people are still going to go out and drink and get in a fight. It just shows you how far gone we are, where we don't even band together. Those people should have been toasting together, saying we will not be defeated by this enemy. But that's not what was happening, you know. And I know that doctors, there are doctors out there that do things. I'm not saying that doctors don't do things. I'm saying that the government, if they want to help out in this case and fix this insurance problem, they should be taking care of people who are going to medical school who I don't think you should just say, well, yeah, I'll do it. I think you should sign something that says, I'm going to commit to helping the poor and to helping those that don't have insurance. You would keep a log of that and show what you do. But when you're in medical school, if you signed a pledge for that, then I think the government should help you out with your college education. I don't think just paying for anybody's education is going to get more people to go to college. And I think the fact is college is way too expensive. It's become a business just like healthcare. That's why everything is so expensive. And I think people have learned to manipulate the system, even some doctors. Why do you think emergency rooms are so backed up and so expensive? Is because doctors have to go in there, and in cases where, you know, nurses and physician assistants could sign off on somebody with a broken arm or that had to get stitches, they'll hold those people so a doctor can come in, sign the form. They maybe hold them for an hour or two, and then charge them $700. And I do agree with what Lawrence says here, that free college is to indoctrinate youth. I believe that. The more people they can get in there into colleges, the more they're going to be able to indoctrinate these people. Lori says Democrats want a democratic socialistic agenda like the EU. Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, I got to get ready to go to Sirius XM Patriot Channel. Let me go ahead and go to the Truth Zone. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over it tonight, but there's a lot of great things to talk about. And it sucks because I don't want to leave. I think people are having a great conversation here. But we are going to go ahead and cut it here. So let's see. Let me just read a couple of comments here. All right, real quick. Well, we got everybody on here. Twitter's starting to pick up. I like that. You're going to see scroll below me, okay, gofund.me/The Experts Roadshow. It is a must that I get everybody to continue to donate at least $10, $20. Eleanor said, she wrote me last week and donated $50 and said that she decided not to have an appetizer when she went out to eat, and she donated to the GoFundMe page. That was exactly what I'm talking about. Eleanor is such a leader in these types of things. And all of you that have done these incredible things for me, I just can't thank you enough. And that's the spirit that's going to continue to get this show to grow. The next step in this is not just to get back out on the road, but also to get a system down. So I want everybody to start thinking about this, okay? I want to get a system down where when there's breaking news in your area, you can contact me, and I'm going to start using you all as the reporters. That way, we can start having some real-time breaking news where you all are on scene. Why do we need to depend on journalists and news anchors that don't know what they're talking about when you yourself, you're a resident in that area? Maybe you're a cop from another area, or you're a nurse or a paramedic or something like that, or a doctor, or you're a former, you're a veteran. Then I want to get it set up to where you use your phone and you call in, and we have you on the screen. And you don't have to be on the screen if you don't want to, but whatever's going on is on the screen. And then we can have real-time reporting from online. I think this is a trend-setting thing if we do this. But if you fund the GoFundMe page, ideas like this are going to be able to develop. Yeah, we're not trying to do propaganda here. Truth is our narrative. So if I can get people that are civilians that don't have any, any connection or not connection, but they're not dedicated to solely pushing out a narrative, and they are also dedicated to the truth, then I think it would be great to have you all as reporters. And the way we do that is by funding the GoFundMe page at gofund.me/The Experts Roadshow. Spread that word. If you know people that live in other parts of the country or the world, tell them about this show. Get them to watch, and then we'll get them around the world. We'll get them involved. I just have to figure out, and I may have to buy eventually a professional program, but those things are like $750, $1,000 for a program on your computer. Right now I'm using OBS software, which is free, does an amazing job, but not quite that amazing. So if we could do that, and I could get the screen split and get all that stuff up here, I could start broadcasting when something happens. And nope, Detective for Life, it's Gilliam _seal for Twitter. So that's it. I'm not going to try to go over this stuff with the GoFundMe, but we haven't had any funds come in for a while, so we need to get back. I did a May pledge drive. We made quite a bit of money in May, and that's what we need. That's what we need. I could run a news tickler, but I don't have anybody to do that. And see, what you guys have to understand is anything, I'm learning how to do all this stuff. It takes a massive amount of time to learn and then do it. Just like when I added YouTube onto where I'm broadcasting on 3 platforms, YouTube doesn't have an on-off button. So I have to time everything just right. Otherwise, YouTube is going to be a blank screen for, at one time it was 10 minutes. I didn't know. I didn't realize it. Thank goodness I, wasn't sitting here with my shirt off going over stuff before I started. So we need to spread the word. We need to get people involved. I need to find out how I'm going to do this. And then it'd be great if I could have the different chat stuff up on the screen. But again, I'm a one-man show, so I'm still learning how to do a lot of this stuff. What I'd also like to do is there is a chat to get a chat app to get people to go to instead of Facebook, instead of Twitter and YouTube. But at the same time, it's kind of nice. It breaks it up, and I can kind of spread it out a little bit. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Celine says if DML can collect $250,000, we can give. Yeah, especially since DML is a narcissist who crapped all over me on set several times when I was at Newsmax, and also got people put out of work because of his own selfish reasons. Folks, I said this before, you got to watch out who you turn to for facts, right? There's plenty of people out here now where you can find people who know what they're talking about. The good thing about this show is it's an hour or so a night. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I pull up Jason Meister or Michael Jack, Scott Eulinger, Ron Bellum, Laura Munoz, Dave Robson. I find people who know what they're talking about, and I bring them on. I'm still trying to get Debbie. Hey, Eleanor, we were just talking about you a minute ago. And so, yeah, you got to be careful with that. Yeah, I'm not contacting DML. Vicky, thanks. Yeah, I had too many run-ins with that guy. All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's go to the Truth Zone. I'm going to wrap it up, drink a protein shake, take a quick shower, and head over to Sirius XM Patriot Channel, where I'll be hosting from DML doesn't just have a bad attitude. He's got no real experience in the world. So I'm going to head over to Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125, where I will be hosting Patriot Tonight from 9 p.m. until 12 a.m. That's on channel 125 on Sirius XM Patriot Channel. Let's go to the Truth Zone. Here we go. So, this show was interesting tonight. It was kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of different things, but it all had one central. See, a lot of the times when I do this, I try to pick a centralized theme. And sometimes on news days like today, you don't even have to pick it. It just jumps right out at you. And this is that centralized theme. And this is no new news, but our government has gotten to a point where, and the media has gotten to a point where they will overlook, as in Buzzfeed is trying to make people overlook what Bradley Manning did in leaking millions of documents and saying that a secret government document said that no real harm was done. Hillary Clinton still has a security clearance somehow, even though she was under a criminal investigation. Uma Abedin, whose husband is Anthony Weiner, who's under a criminal investigation for taking pictures, sexual pictures for a underage girl with his child in his arms, is under a criminal investigation, and Uma Abedin still has a security clearance. They're trying to make it sound, and they're trying to make people believe, and in a lot of ways they're succeeding. Even the director of the FBI did something criminal and said, hey, it was no big deal. Yeah, I gave a government document to somebody who's not in the government so they could leak it to the media. They're trying to make it sound like if nobody was harmed, no wrong was done. They're trying to make it sound as though ethics and morals don't equate, or lack thereof should not equate punishment, or that lack of morals and ethics do no harm. But that's just not true. If you take a person that has no ethics or morals, you will find a criminal mind. Eventually that person will do something to hurt somebody else. It's a given. They will hurt their country, they will hurt their neighborhood, they will hurt their children, they will hurt their animals. And if they're attorneys, they can ruin people's lives. Attorneys are the perfect example. Lack of ethics and morals, and they just strictly stick by whether or not it is the law. That just breeds unethical behavior. So here's what we need to do. Step up our morals and ethics. Step up our strength, step up our courage to stand up against these people. We're being hunted right now, folks. Liberals better realize it's better for you to join us. And I'm not saying that you have to believe everything that conservatives believe. I'm saying that we get rid of the terms conservative and liberal, and those that are free thinkers that just want effective solutions to be put out there, that we stand together, that we start going after and firing the politicians that don't follow this, that we stand up in places like Georgia where George Soros is pouring millions of dollars into a campaign that is the most expensive campaign in the history of Congress, largely in part because of George Soros's money. We have to start standing up against this stuff. Our ethics and our morals have to start standing up, and they have to be out there. We have to show them the reality of morals and ethics, because with morals and ethics you have strength. I'm Jonathan Gilliam. I'll see you tomorrow on The Experts, 7 p.m. right here, old Rico and I. The truth has arrived.
Don't forget to go to the GoFundMe page, gofund.me/The Experts Roadshow.
You better do it, because we need to keep the funding going, so do it. Damn, man, what do I gotta do? Go to GoFundMe. Do what that big guy just said.
Yeah. Peace, I'm out of here. And there will never be peace in the Middle East. I don't know why rappers always say that. I'm out.